In this episode of the Locked On NBA Big Board Podcast, I am going to give you my draft grades for each pick. I'm going to break this down into 2 episodes. This is part 1. Stay tuned to find out my opinions on each pick. First of all, big shout out to each and every person that's made the Locked On NBA Big Board Podcast your first listen of the day. I'm your host, Rafael Barlowe, the Director of Scouting for NBA Big Board and the founder of NBA Draft Junkies. This has been a very, very good draft cycle. We are almost at the finish line. We got Summer League coming up within the next, I would say, 10 days. I'm looking forward to that. I will be in Las Vegas. All right, but let's just get to my draft grades. I'm going to give each team my personal grade on their pick. My personal grade on their pick. We'll start off with the San Antonio Spurs. This is a no-brainer. The San Antonio Spurs get an A+ for selecting Victor Wembanyama. They have their box office star. They have their guy that's going to sell out arenas, not only in San Antonio, but across the NBA. I saw something that this was the most watched NBA draft on all platforms, and Wembanyama mania is real. I was in New York. They had to change his hotel room in the middle of the night because some kids found his room. I don't know how they found his room number, and they were banging on his door trying to get autographs. I think that's really weird. I think it's really, really weird. I get it for kids, but for adults, that's a whole different subject. But I give San Antonio A+. Wembanyama should come in and immediately change the franchise, at least on the defensive end, with his massive wingspan and his ability to alter shots and switch out. So I think he's going to be a plus. I mean, the hype is crazy. Can he live up to the hype? I don't know. I think he does deserve the hype. But I'm going to give the San Antonio Spurs an A+ for selecting Victor Wembanyama. It wasn't tough to give them an A+, but they get an A+. And the Spurs have missed the playoffs for 4 straight years after making the playoffs for 22 straight years. I don't know if Victor will be able to get the Spurs in the playoffs or in the play-in in year 1, but if you're a San Antonio fan, the drought is almost over. I know you guys have been spoiled with 5 titles, and again, it was like an NBA record tying 22 straight playoff appearances. Like I said, the drought is coming to an end. So I give the San Antonio Spurs an A+. The Charlotte Hornets. Now, I'm probably in somewhat of the minority here. I know everybody loves Scoot, and everybody says Scoot's a generational player, and I don't necessarily agree with that, but I do think the Charlotte Hornets made the right choice in Brandon Miller. Brandon Miller averaged 18.8 points per game, 8 rebounds, shot 38% from 3 on 7 attempts per game. I don't know why people are thinking like this is a mistake for passing the guy that's 6'9", that provides versatility, should be able to defend in multiple positions. The NBA is a league that is, wings are so valuable, and Brandon Miller is a wing that can shoot. I think he's going to be able to defend multiple positions, and I think that he's a very good rebounder, for his size. I think he helped Charlotte out immediately. So I'm giving the Hornets an A on this pick, although a lot of people just seem to be adamant that the Hornets are making a mistake with Scoot Henderson, but I'm giving Brandon Miller and the Charlotte Hornets an A. I'm giving Charlotte Hornets an A for selecting Brandon Miller. All right, at number 3, it is the Portland Trail Blazers, and I'm giving the Blazers an A. Now, I think Portland had his hands tied with this pick, and they added arguably what some people believe is the second best player in this class, but he's a terrible fit with the roster the way it is constructed as of today. Now, things could change by the time I'm done recording this episode, but I think that the pick is an A, the fit is terrible, but I imagine a move is going to be made, so I'm going to give the Blazers an A. It sounds like Dame is leaning towards staying, which means Scoot could be on the move. So even if Scoot isn't there, you give it an A because I believe the Blazers would get a good player in return in a trade package. I don't know how the math works, but I wonder if Karl Anthony Towns, I wonder if there's a play where the Blazers can get Cat and the Wolves can get Scoot Anthony Edwards backcourt would be pretty fun to watch. I don't know if the numbers match up. I mean, Cat is making like $1 gazillion. Cat and Dame would probably be making like $80 or $90 million combined. I mean, I guess you'd have to throw in Ant Simons in that deal, but then that doesn't. I don't know, but that's something I'll kick the tires on. I do not like Miami's trade package. I think Portland can get better, but I'll give the Blazers an A again for Scoot Henderson. Either way, they should come out good. If Dame stays, then they'll be able to get a veteran that can come in and contribute right away. And number 4 is the Houston Rockets, and I'm going to give the Rockets an A. Ausar Thompson and Jalen Green. I mean, this has to be like the most athletic backcourt in NBA history. I mean, you got 2 freakish athletes, and I may even say Amin is the better athlete of the 2. The jump shot is a work in progress. Again, I understand that the court vision and the defensive potential gives Houston fans a lot of hope. I'm curious to find out what happens within the next few days with James Harden. Now, if James Harden returns to Houston, I don't know about the fit because I think Amin is best with the ball in his hands, and I think his lack of shooting early on could be an issue as far as floor spacing. But, I mean, Houston had to take the best player available, which is Ausar Thompson. There are some people that think he has the highest upside out of everyone in this class. So I'm going to give them an A. So right now I'm giving out 3 consecutive A's. At number 5, it is the Detroit Pistons. And I'm going to give the Detroit Pistons a B-, because Detroit has their guy in Cade Cunningham. They have Jaden Ivey, and they selected Ausar Thompson. Ausar is, and I get it, Troy Weaver loves athletic wings that can defend, pass, and put pressure on the rim. And I understand it from that standpoint, but I don't think that he is a good fit with their current roster, again, with his issues shooting the ball. So now you have a team that struggles shooting outside of Bojan Bogdanovic, and I just think you defend the Pistons with boxes and elbows. I mean, they are going to have to find ways to get some outside shooting, because right now Ausar Thompson doesn't help their outside shooting. But I get the pick, but I give them a B-. All right. At number 6, Orlando Magic. And Orlando selected Anthony Black. I'm going to give this pick a B, but there has to be a move. There has to be a move on the horizon, because you have Markelle Fultz, you have Cole Anthony, you have Jalen Suggs. There's 3 guys that are like point, combo, whatever, that need the ball in their hands. And this is like their 3rd point guard that they've selected since 2020. Now, Orlando has shooting issues, and Anthony Black won't help improve those shooting issues early on. I get the size. I get he's a connector. They got their guy in Paolo, Franz Wagner. I'm giving this a B, because I believe that they're going to have to make a trade, and they'll probably get some shooting and consolidate their roster once they make a trade. But I give it a B. Anthony Black, 6'7", 210, good passer, really good defender. Again, he's a really good connector, but I'm going to give the Magic a B. All right, at number 7, it is the Indiana Pacers. They had the 7th pick, but they made a trade. And so, basically, number 7 is the Washington Wizards. Bilal Coulibaly. Now, this is a very interesting move here by the Wizards. It's a new front office. They are totally trying to rebuild and start all over. It is interesting that Bilal was the face of their new rebuild, and they ended up swapping the 7th pick to the Wizards for the 8th pick, and the 8th pick was Jarace Walker from Houston. But the Wizards swung for the fences. They did not play it safe and go with the consensus. And Bilal's a guy that, I mean, I've talked about it at length. I feel like I've talked about it 100 times over the last month. I mean, his trajectory over the last, I mean, you can break it down the last month, the last 6 weeks, the last year, the last 18 months has been crazy. And he is someone that, I mean, I've heard the press conference. They like the fact that he defends. He's athletic, the way he moves. And they feel like everything else can take care of itself in the long run, but they went for a guy that likes to defend and play with energy early. I get that. I'm going to give this pick a B. I like Bilal. I like him a lot. I don't know if he's the guy that I would have decided to make the face of my first rebuild. But again, I like the pick. They're swinging for the fences. Will Dawkins came from OKC, so I know that there's going to be like an OKC rebuild. So I'm going to give that pick a B. And when we return, I'll wrap up the rest of the first round. But I want to talk to you about eBay Motors, because if you're a team and you're trying to build a championship team, it's all about making sure every player is the perfect fit. And it is the same when it comes to your vehicle. Every part needs to fit just right. So the next time you need parts and accessories, head to eBay Motors with the eBay Guarantee Fit. You can be sure every part that you need fits correctly, and more importantly, fits correctly the first time around. So just add your ride to my garage and look for the green check to know if the part will fit or you will get your money back. Shop eBay Motors. They have over 122 million parts to choose from. You'll be back in the game in no time. After all, it is easy to bring home a win when the right parts are guaranteed. And more importantly, the right parts are guaranteed to fit. The right fit, the right prices on ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. And the eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items only and exclusions apply. Big thank you for each and every person that's made the Locked On NBA Big Board podcast your first listen of the day. And if you are an everydayer, in the next episode, it will be part 2 of this episode where I'm handing out my draft grades. All right, let's get back into it. At number 8, again, they swapped. The Pacers and the Wizards swapped. The Indiana Pacers selected Jarace Walker. And I'm going to give this an A because one of the main priorities for the Pacers this summer was they needed to upgrade their front court. They needed athleticism. They needed somebody that can defend and rebound, and they got that in Jarace Walker. And Walker is a guy, and I feel like I've talked about this at length also. I think he has more game than what he was able to showcase at Houston. A very, very good passer. You put Walker and Halliburton on the floor together, you have two really good ball movers. A little bit of a concern is Walker shooting. I think he'll be totally fine. Shot the ball well off the catch this year. Not a great high volume of attempts. I guess the free throw percentage maybe leaves you a little bit of, concerned about his overall shooting touch, but I think he's going to be fine. I think he's going to be able to defend, rebound, also be like a secondary rim protector with Miles Turner if he's still on the roster. Ball mover. And I think Rick Carlisle will be able to maximize his gifts as a good four-man that can handle the ball pass. And, I think he's going to eventually be able to shoot. At number 9, the Utah Jazz selected Taylor Hendricks. Now, I gave this a B+, and then the trade that they made yesterday just kind of complicates it. He's going to join a Utah front court that has Lauri Markkanen, who was an all-star. They got John Collins yesterday. They pretty much got him for a bag of chips and some Skittles. And then they got Walker Kessler, who was the biggest surprise from the 22 draft. And Walker Kessler is going to be part of Team USA. So that front court is a little crowded. I know Lauri played some minutes at the 3 last year. But if you're Taylor Hendricks and you're a top 10 pick, you're probably looking at this group and wondering, like, where am I going to get my 20 to 25 minutes per night to develop? And you have to be a little bit concerned there if you're Taylor Hendricks, because you got 3 guys. I figured it like this: Markkanen and Collins and Kessler are going to play the bulk of the minutes. And right now, Taylor Hendricks, you got to get in where you fit in. And I thought Utah would address their need for guard help at number 9, but I guess they felt like Hendricks was too good to pass up. So we'll see how that goes. But right now, I'm giving it a B+, but I gave the grade before the John Collins trade. All right, at number 10, it was the Dallas Mavericks. They traded back to the Oklahoma City Thunder, and they selected Cason Wallace. I'm giving this a B. And kind of like Utah, there has to be another move on the horizon, in my opinion. I get why the Thunder would like Cason Wallace. He's tough. He's competitive. He can defend. He's a Kentucky guard that, Kentucky guards have a track record of outplaying their draft position. I totally get that. But their backcourt is crowded. It's kind of like the opposite of Utah. You have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who's going to be there. You got Josh Giddey, who's going to be there. You got Luguentz Dort, who they just paid, who, I'd assume they could possibly move if they want to save some money and let Cason play that role. But, again, they're deep in the backcourt. They got Isaiah Joe, who's good. Then you still got Jalen Williams, who could play all over the floor. So Sam Presti is a guy. Sam Presti is the Thunder GM. He's earned the right where you trust his judgment and you trust that he has a plan in mind. But if I'm Cason and I'm going 10 to the Thunder based off the way the roster is at right now, I'm also wondering like where do I fit in? And I'm one of these guys that I don't like just giving rookies minutes. I want rookies to earn their minutes on the floor. And this is a situation where Cason is going to have to earn his playing time because there's quite a few guys ahead of him on the depth chart as of today. All right, when we return, I'll do the last 4 picks. Stay tuned. All right, last segment. And I want to start off this last segment by saying that I was totally shocked by Orlando's decision to draft Jett Howard at number 11. I'm going to give the Magic a C. Now, I get it from the standpoint that Orlando needed to add a wing. They needed wing shooting. I think that Jordan Hawkins is a better shooter than Jett Howard. I think that Gradey Dicks, you can say he's a better shooter than, Jett Howard. I said Jordan Howard. I got a friend named Jordan Howard that plays in Italy, and I just did a highlight tape for him. Jett Howard, the son of Juwan. And so I think Orlando reached. I think they reached. They could have added a better shooter in Gradey Dicks or Jordan Hawkins. And even if Orlando really, really, really liked Jett Howard, I think they could have moved back to a couple spots, or even, I think I had him going at number 20. Moved back to get him, but then maybe they don't want to add any additional players on an already young roster. But one thing I'll say about Jett Howard is he was not a consensus top 50 recruit out of high school. He was not someone that anybody thought was going to be a one-and-done and lottery pick after one season. So he has proven a lot of people wrong, and he could definitely prove me wrong. He did make 78 three-pointers this year on 37% shooting, and he did have a season that was broken down into 2 parts, before the ankle injury and after the ankle injury. And so I'm assuming Orlando saw what they liked, and they're going to basically they made this pick based off of how he looked when he was healthy. All right, number 12, I like this pick. It was the Dallas Mavericks. I have been saying this all along. Lively should be their guy. And not only did Dallas get Lively, they traded back 2 spots to get him. And then they shed salary by sending Davis Bertans' contract. I think he's owed $22 million over the next 2 years, maybe $16 million guaranteed. But anyway, they moved back. They cut salary. They got the guy that I think could be their long-term center in Dereck Lively. I went on the radio in Dallas yesterday to talk about Lively. And one of the things that I've been hearing a lot of is from Mavs fans is either you like the pick or you're like, this guy only averaged 5 points a game. Why did we select a guy that averaged 5 and 5 in the lottery? I had one person say, what's the difference between Lively and Moses Brown? A lot of people are, like I said, you're divided. Either you're concerned about it or you like it. And with Lively, he's not someone that you can't just look at the raw numbers on paper and see what he does. Start off this season with a calf injury, was not healthy. Duke really featured Kyle Filipowski over him, and I think that Lively is a lot better than a 5 and 5. He fills a Texas-sized hole in the middle of Dallas's defense. Dallas was the worst team in the NBA in rebounding. They were significantly worse than the 29th best team in rebounding. And again, I know Lively only averaged 5 rebounds per game, but I think he's a much better rebounder than the numbers say. Dallas' starting center last year only averaged 4.3 rebounds per game. So if the numbers are the exact same, Lively is still a better rebounder. But he is a really good shot blocker, rim protector. If you don't believe me, watch the North Carolina game. I think he had 8 blocks. And he set the tone early for that game. And he has the size at 7'1", the athleticism, the promise as a shooter that I think Dallas can work with. And he's drawn some comparisons to former Maverick Tyson Chandler, who was on the championship team in 2011 when the Mavs won. And I went to the press conference yesterday between It was with Lively and Omax. And Jason Kidd made a comment I thought was interesting. Someone asked him about the comparison between Lively and Tyson Chandler, but he said that Tyson Chandler came into the NBA as a 3, as a rookie. I don't remember that. I thought people felt like he was a lot more skilled than he showed in his NBA career, but I didn't think he came in as a 3. But I like the pick with Lively, and I'm going to give the Mavericks an A. All right, at number 13, it is the Toronto Raptors, and Toronto had a need for shooting. They were one of the teams that I felt like really needed to address shooting on the wing this season, or at least this offseason. They have a new coach, so their offense is going to look different. They went with Gradey Dicks from Kansas, 6'7", 205. Gradey Dicks is one of the best shooters, arguably the best shooter in his class. He can shoot off the catch. He shot 38% on catch and shoot attempts, and he was a very good shooter off the dribble, 46%. While the numbers are a little bit misleading, like he shot off the dribble, but it was maybe like pump fake, 1 dribble pull up, side step, 1 dribble pull up. That counts off the dribble. It's not like he was dancing and pulling up and shooting like really tough jumpers off the dribble, but Gradey Dicks can shoot. And one of the things I like about Gradey Dicks is his confidence. And you got to have extreme confidence to wear that horrible suit that he wore on draft night. A year from now, 5 years, 10 years down the line, we're going to look at Gradey Dicks and we're going to laugh and roast him, because that may have been one of the worst suits in NBA draft history. I mean, you got Jalen Rose's red pinstripe suit, Samaki Walker, Trae Young wore a suit with shorts. I thought that was awful. There's some other bad suits, but Gradey Dicks might have an all-time record for worst suit. But I hate the fit, but I love the confidence. And if you're a shooter, you need crazy elite confidence. And just by that suit alone, I think Gradey Dicks has confidence, and Toronto addressed the major need. So I like that. All right, wrapping up this episode, it is the New Orleans Pelicans. And the Pelicans, I have them with an A. They selected Jordan Hawkins from UConn. And prior to the draft, like maybe hours before the draft, I was at the team hotel, or not the team, but the league hotel where all the players and their families were staying. And I met one of Hawkins' agents, and he told me that I was wrong for not having Hawkins in my lottery. He said, he's not in your lottery, you're wrong. I said, oh man, I got him going 17 to the Lakers. He says, you are wrong. Remember that, you are wrong, guaranteed. And guess what? He was right. Hawkins went 14 in the lottery to the Pelicans. And the Pelicans have their stars. If Zion Williams ever plays, if he ever plays, Zion's name is in a bunch of, that guy got his hands full right now. But if he does play, and Brandon Ingram plays, and CJ McCollum, you have a shooter that complements them. You can make a case. If you're not saying it's Gradey Dicks, then you can make a case and say Jordan Hawkins is the best shooter in his class. Definitely the best movement shooter by a long shot. And he gives the Pelicans a floor spacer, someone that provides gravity to their all-stars. Well, CJ hasn't been an all-star yet, but he's, as close to an all-star as you can get. And Hawkins is a guy who's going to bring championship pedigree, outside shooting, and he played well on the biggest stage. And so if you're the Pelicans, you have to like that. Add him along with Trey Murphy. The Pelicans have really drafted well over the years. So I like this pick. So I'm giving the New Orleans Pelicans an A. Well, that wraps up this episode of the Locked On NBA Big Board Podcast. This is part 1. And this is just the lottery of me handing out draft grades from the 2023 NBA Draft. Stay tuned in the next episode where I will grade picks 15 through 30, where there were plenty of surprises. Once again, it's Rafael Barlowe, and I'm out.